Good morning, Pete Pardo here with Sea of Tranquility. Today is Monday, May the 8th. We're here for another edition of our rant series. Today we're going to talk about a topic that, if you're a progressive rock fan, you've been hearing a little bit about over the last couple of months, and that's the possibilities of another potential Genesis reunion. So, we're hearing all sorts of things. So Steve Hackett says that he's trying to talk to Peter Gabriel to get him involved because, of course, Hackett's very interested. Then you hear from Tony Banks and Mike Rutherford and Phil Collins that yes, they're interested. If they can do it, they'll do it. But they know nothing about Hackett and Gabriel being involved. And, Collins is saying, well, he really can't play the drums too well. So if they're going to do the reunion just as the trio with, of course, Daryl Stuermer and Chester Thompson, that Collins would probably not play drums. He would just be out front singing. But if Gabriel and Hackett were to join the fold, then he would do his best to play drums and, let Gabriel sing and blah, 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 blah. So I'm here to tell you how, without Gabriel and Hackett, who gives a shit? Don't get me wrong. I saw the Genesis, what was it called, Turn It On Again tour in 2007, and that was a lot of fun. It was the first time I had ever seen them, so it was pretty cool. Even though, again, this was more of a Genesis tour to play all the big Genesis hits, 1970, post 1978, and going forward, right? So, all those kind of radio hits when Genesis became more of like a pop band than an actual progressive rock band that they were known for. So, granted, it was fun. They a few nods to the past on that tour. I happened to see it at Giant Stadium in New Jersey. They did a little instrumental medley from The Land. Did In the Cage. What else did they do? They played Cinema Show, which was kind of cool. They did like the instrumental cadenza, crescendo, whatever you want to call it, from Firth of Fifth. And they did I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe, which is kind of cool. So, but again, the funny thing is, I'm sitting there, my buddy and I were there with our then girlfriends, now wives, and of course, they didn't know any of those songs. And, the majority of the people who were there for that tour were mainly Genesis fans from the post-1978 Genesis, right? So they know all those big, huge hits, Abacab and, all the songs, right? But as soon as they played a couple of those Gabriel era tunes, most people were kind of like, what is this? Time to go get a beer, go to the bathroom, right? And I'm like, no, what are you doing? This is the classic stuff. So I'm here to tell you that if they decide to do it again, it's got to be with Gabriel and Hackett. Otherwise, why bother? Sure, if they do it just as the main trio, Collins, Banks, and Rutherford, they'll go out, they'll play stadiums, they'll sell 1 million tickets, it'll be a big to-do, and that's all fine and dandy. They'll make lots of money. I'm not interested. In my opinion, it's got to be with all the classic members of the band, and they should not be if they do it, they should not do stadiums. They should do it in kind of like large-ish venues, maybe like 12 to 20,000 seaters, right? And do the whole production. I'm not saying Gabriel's got to go out there and put on the bat costume and wear the, all that stuff like he used to, but I would think it's got to be more of an intimate setting because I can't see playing all those classic Genesis tracks in a big open-air stadium. Just to me, it just doesn't sound right. It's different if you go on and it's the Genesis, the Hit Machine Genesis, and they're playing, all those big hits and stuff. That's a different story. But if you're going to be playing the early Genesis numbers, got to do it in a smaller venue. That's just my opinion. Will it ever happen? I don't know. It's like if you've been following the career of Steve Hackett at all for the last bunch of years, he's been going out with his own band doing like this Genesis revisited thing where he plays. Some tours he's played like full sets of old Genesis material. Some he's done kind of half and half solo material, half Genesis stuff. He's got a great band. He's got Nad Sylvan on vocals doing a stunning rendition of Gabriel. So Hackett's been doing this stuff for a while. Hackett could just kind of step right in with Genesis and make this happen. It'd be pretty damn cool. Gabriel, on the other hand, I mean, he's been solo now since the mid-'70s, right after the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway album. He left the band, went solo. I mean, has he ever, to my knowledge, he's played little to none classic Genesis material that he originally appeared on his solo tours. he's really distanced himself from the band and that old classic material. So for him, I think it would be the most difficult to kind of get back on the wagon here. So I don't know, but in my opinion, it's like that's really all I'm interested in seeing. But we heard this all before, right? Genesis is going to tour. Hackett's saying this. Gabriel says he'd be into it. The rest of the other guys said, sure, we're open to it. And fuck all, it never happens, right? So put up or shut up, guys. Do it or don't. Because it's like, Hackett's going to continue to do what he's doing, and I'm okay with that. If you really want to kind of experience that Genesis feel circa 71, 72, 73, there's plenty of Genesis tribute bands you can go out and see who do it really, really well. So, I love it because I've never seen them, never seen the classic lineup, obviously. But, worst case scenario, I can go catch the Musical Box, right? They do this great Genesis tribute show. They do like full albums, they'll go out and do, Seconds Out tour, or they'll do like Foxtrot, or they'll do the Lamb tour, right? And they do it quite well. I've caught them a couple times doing a couple different albums. And that's, realistically, is that the closest we're ever going to get? Probably. Do I wish it was different? Yeah, sure I do. Sure I do. Would I love to see, granted, they're all like, late 60s, early 70s at this point. So they're much older. But, Gabriel can still sing. I don't doubt that he can't sing these tunes. Rutherford and Banks are up for it. Hackett certainly is up for it. I've seen Hackett a couple times doing the Genesis thing, and man, it's great. Steve can still play his ass off. Phil's a different story. Phil can still sing pretty decently, but his days behind the drum kit are nearing an end if they're not there already. So it's like, it's now or never, guys. Because if Gabriel's on board, Phil can't be singing. So, what else is he going to do besides, they may have to bring Chester along with him so he can kind of spell Phil on the drums. But, obviously, with the condition that Phil's hands are in right now, he's sort of like the odd man out on a full-blown classic Genesis era reunion. And that might not be in the best interest of Mr. Collins, right? You got to think that he's probably thinking, do I really want to give up that frontman spot to Peter, who hasn't bothered to come and join us for all these years? I don't know. And, in all honesty, a Gabriel era Genesis reunion probably will make a hell of a lot less money than, if the other three go out and play all the hits, Invisible Touch and all that stuff. But, for the hardcore fans, that's what we really want. That's what we really want to see. So, I don't know. Like I said, if they go out and do it and it's just the three of them, have fun. I'm not going. I'm not spending, that tour was expensive enough back in 2007. I can only imagine what it would be now. And quite frankly, a lot of those tunes, I don't need to go see him play live again. It was fun the first time around, but I won't. I have like a 2-disc collection that has all of that late era Genesis stuff because I never bothered to get all those albums. With me, the Genesis kind of ended with Duke. Great album. Everything back is fantastic. Everything before it, a couple of good tunes here or there. So I got a little collection that has like the, Home by the Sea and all that kind of stuff, and Abacab, good tunes. But for the most part, those albums kind of suck in my opinion. But, again, a couple gems here and there. I don't need to see them play all that stuff again. I'll stay home if I'm in the mood to hear it. I'll just play it on my CD. But, hearing the original band or the classic era band going out and doing, Watcher of the Skies and Supper's Ready and Fountain of Salmacis and, Return of the Giant Hogweed and all that kind of really cool stuff. Firth the Fifth, hell yes. I am into that. So, but we'll see. Again, is it all a bunch of talk? I don't know. My guess, my educated opinion, is that we'll see Collins, Rutherford, Banks, Sturmer, and Thompson do it all again one more time, whether it's this year or next year. And I think us longtime Genesis fans will be forever wondering what it would be like to see Hackett and Gabriel do it one last time. Don't think it's going to happen. Would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen. So that's my little rant for today. Till next time, this is Pete Pardo from Sea Tranquility. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter. We're all over the place bringing you the best of progressive rock, all forms of heavy metal, jazz fusion, hard rock, classic rock. You know, we do it all. So we'll see you next time. Take care.